There was an article that was alerted to me about, vlogging, being on YouTube, and being famous. It was called Famous and Broke on YouTube. It was off of this website I'm not really familiar with called Fusion.net. Get Rich or Die Vlogging, The Sad Economics of Internet Fame, written by Gabby Dunn. And then Too Liked to Fail is the subheading. So basically what this article sort of encapsulates is sort of the weird middling ground of what do you do if you are, I guess, YouTube famous or you are Instagram famous, which is a thing I'm not even totally familiar with. I know they have Instagram models and stuff. You're in that sort of middling ground where people think you're famous, recognizable, yet you're not making money off it and you're scraping by. And the article goes into having to lots of different angles. One of them was, having to borrow money to do production work on videos. Another one was having to sell your soul, quote unquote, to get brand deals in order to survive doing that, and then having your fans turn against you for that, and then losing maybe fans because of that. So it's very, very good article. It brings up vloggers in particular, and I'll talk about the difference between vlogging and other types of production in a bit. But one of the things they try to sort of talk about was the YouTube middle class, which isn't a terrible term for it, just because I would consider myself sort of in that middle class. If you had different classes, I'm not making enough to be rich, for sure. I'm not the upper echelon, but I am making enough to live off of. Middle class. I'm not making enough. I'm not making nothing. So middle class. But then again, middle classes can mean anything at this point. Like in our economy, middle class means you are scraping by, or you're doing a little bit better than others. But there is that point, and I faced it myself when I first quit my job. I would call myself, I was still recognizable going to conventions, but wasn't making any money when I quit my day job 3 years ago. When I quit my day job 3 years ago, I think I may have had, I'll look it up in particular, but I think I only had about 20,000 or 25,000 subscribers 3 years ago. So at that point, you are known, you can do stuff, but you are not making money to survive. Right.
Your recognition and your exposure does not equate to the amount of money you are making.
Sure. And the thing about this also is, though, is that just because you have a lot of subscribers, that doesn't mean you're making money to survive. There's a sort of I'd say it's not. I guess it's just an ignorance of people not realizing that. But this goes back to advertisers too, and sponsors and brand deals. That just because you have a lot of subscribers doesn't mean you get a lot of views. You can have people that have a lot of subscribers and then haven't put out a video in a while. You have people that have a lot of subscribers but then put out videos that only a very, very small percentage of their subscribers actually will watch. Right. There's a lot of different things going on. So it was fascinating to see someone put it into words and talk about something I want to talk about. Is like the backlash of what happens when these people get brand deals and put them on, whether it's Instagram models, I guess, hawking makeup or shoes or clothing. Again, I'm not totally familiar, but that's what I'm picturing. And then having the fans say, "Oh, this was bullshit," or whatever. If they actually point out that it was sponsored, which is the proper thing to do, or likewise getting called out by their fans, saying you're a sellout. This is obviously a sponsored video. Blah blah blah. So I think what I want to talk about, though, is more that response about the expectation of being on YouTube versus being an athlete or being a movie star, and sort of the much higher negative connotation there is when you're on YouTube of taking a sponsored or brand deal, and why that's in place. And this could be a conversation that could be psychological, sociological, but I think what it boils down to, there's such a higher negative connotation for YouTubers taking money and being sponsored and having that backlash, is because I think, at least on YouTube, you're seeing more of in the collective more. It's like you're seeing more as the Joe Lunchbox versus an athlete getting sponsored by Nike or Adidas or Gatorade. You never see people go on Kobe Bryant's Twitter and be like, "Oh, you sell out! You're taking money from Gatorade."
Exactly.
You don't see people going after Derek Jeter for sponsoring an SUV and being in the commercial,
or even
it's just accepted that's part of what it is.
I read this article the other day, and then I was in the car with Vonnie, and we were driving, and just the radio was flipping around, and we just hit stop. And it was in the morning, and it was like a morning radio show. And as they cut, one of the chicks who talks on morning radio, cuts into a promo.
Sure.
And, I found it, obnoxious sounding as most radio personalities are, in my opinion.
It was a sponsored read.
But it's a sponsored read, and she's cutting into it. She's talking about how she uses it and how she loves this shit, and, blah, 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 blah.
So more of an endorsement.
Right, but still... But
you can do that,
even as annoying as it is, it's still obviously something paid, and no one is going to give her crap for this. And I find it weird because that's on a lower level. That's still like that's only a local celebrity. I mean, and barely a celebrity in this day and age. But they wouldn't get shit for something like that. It's expected. It's part.
That was a radio show. You're saying.
It's part of radio. It's people have.
And that's paying for the show, too.
Yes, and people are used to it, so they don't even think twice about it, and they don't give it shit. Yet when it's on a YouTube channel, and I just don't get it when it's expressly laid out. All you are doing is listening to someone recite a commercial, and then it's gone. Mm-hmm. And the vitriol that these people get for it it's just kind of insane.
I think it's immaturity, obviously, because you have no problem with someone providing you free entertainment for years and years. And then, okay, you look at a 15-second ad here and then a 30-second ad, but then they're trying to. If they can't eat, for them to accept money, and then I think you just have to. The audience has to mature in that aspect. Obviously,
you know what you need to do.
What?
You need to get a real job.
You need to get a real job. I always love that. I think what it comes down to is that we were getting to that point where it's going to be. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much accepted that there's sponsored stuff on YouTube. Hell, there's sponsored tweets from celebrities. I think someone was talking about what it costs to have LeBron James tweet out your product or site. It was like $20,000 just for a tweet or something like that. So it's just the reality of it. But it was also interesting in the article about what you do when you break through or try to break through can come back and bite you in terms of what you're doing to get those clicks. Like there was something about the YouTuber Nicole Arbor did the Dear Fat People video that got a ton of millions of views, but then sponsor backlash, fan backlash from that. But there's been an argument to be made that if she doesn't do that video to get those clicks, she'll stay, irrelevant, or no one will know who she is. So there's all these risks you take when you're on YouTube. You're a vlogger, and being a vlogger is different always than doing even a podcast or doing produced videos. Because when you are vlogging, once you put out that content, it's gone. It dissipates. And it's much harder to sort of translate over from being a vlogger to anything else. Because you're talking usually, hey guys, you're talking to the camera, and that's it. So there's something to be said for that. I think that sort of micro niche market, which is what a lot of YouTubers start as vloggers and then go off. Some make it, but obviously the majority don't. It's just the sad reality of it. Not sure what else I can say about that, but it's complicated. Being on YouTube is it's not cut and dry. It's not easy. There are hard decisions to be made. There are obviously ethical decisions you have to make of things you want to sponsor. I've turned down sponsorships because there was one. It was fairly recent. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but they basically didn't want me to say it was sponsored. It was like a game promotion thing. Oh, just say, I like enjoying it, and make it natural. And it's like you have to disclose it somewhere that I'm not just bringing this up for the hell of it.
Right.
I'm not going to be talking about a mobile game, having never talked about a mobile game before. If that's the case, I will put somewhere that it was promo consideration or sponsorship for this. So I'm not just being a total, Either way, I'll still get backlash for any sort of sponsored brand deal that I've done, and I haven't done anything really besides the Loot Crate thing. And of course, there was bigger backlash to that in the beginning, but it sort of dissipated. But what are you going to do? People get to see Frank and me open up stuff. Anything else on this?
No, I just think it's people talk about internet fame and internet celebrity, and it doesn't equal money.
Oh no, there was a great anecdote about people being recognized in their day job and then being embarrassed for being like a waiter or working at, I think there was one like working at like at like SeaWorld or something, and being recognized like, oh, it's you have the internet. It's like, yeah, I'm doing my day job.
And I mean, it was even funny because it was like 2 weeks ago someone came in, and I don't even do internet shit besides this really, and you know, there was a person, and he was really nice, but he was just like, I don't know, he was just like, it was like watching an animal in the zoo. Like, it was just so weird to him to see me doing menial tasks, like behind the counter. It's like, yeah, dude, I have to have a real job. Like, this is me. I even told him, I mean, because we were joking and laughing, he was nice. I'm like, dude, I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm like, just because you know me and you think this is interesting to, like, see me, like,
Well,
I'm not, you know, it's not like I'm making a shitload.
well, the podcast helps out.
I didn't say it didn't.